You may not see it yet, you may not feel it in this moment, but I promise you, the very thing you've been reaching for, longing for, praying for, it is closer than you've ever imagined. It's right there, just beyond the veil of what your physical eyes can perceive. And the greatest tragedy is how many people stop, how many turn away, how many abandon the journey when they were just one step away from everything shifting. You see, the world teaches you to measure progress with your senses, what you can see, touch, hear. But true change does not announce itself that way. It unfolds first within, in the silence, in the unseen. Your desires, your dreams, they are spiritual seeds. They germinate beneath the surface, hidden from the impatient eye, but never dormant, never forgotten. They grow in the dark, in the stillness, in the quiet spaces of your soul. And just when you believe nothing is happening, everything is happening. But this is where most falter. Right here, at the threshold of the miraculous, the moment when fatigue whispers louder than faith, when doubt feels heavier than belief. But don't you understand, that is the proof that you are close. The resistance intensifies when the breakthrough draws near. The discomfort peaks when you are standing on the edge of your manifestation. It is not punishment, it is preparation. Every challenge pressing against you right now is evidence that the old reality is trembling. The false limitations, the illusions, the doubts. They are crumbling under the weight of your new belief. You are being stretched not to break you, but to expand you, to make room for the life that has already been created for you in the unseen. You are not chasing your dreams. You are aligning with them. You are stepping into the version of yourself that has already received, already experienced, already become. Can you feel that? That gentle nudge within, that quiet knowing that refuses to die even when circumstances scream otherwise? That is your sign, that is your reminder. You are so close, and the temptation to quit, that's not coincidence. That's the final test. The universe, God, your own higher self, it all conspires to ask you, will you keep going when nothing outside validates the promise? Will you persist when your physical world seems frozen, unmoved? Because that's when the unseen is working its greatest magic. Your current reality is old news. It is a delayed reflection of the thoughts, the beliefs, the assumptions you carried yesterday, last week, last year. But your future, that is being shaped now in this very moment by what you dare to believe despite appearances. You do not need to see evidence to believe. You believe and the evidence bends to meet you. So do not stop, do not retreat, do not surrender to the illusion of delay. Time itself is bending for you. Reality is rearranging itself to honor your persistence. The cracks are forming in the walls that once confined you. The breakthrough is inevitable, but only if you keep walking. Every moment you persist, you send a signal to life itself, I am ready, I am worthy, I am aligned. And life always responds to that certainty. So keep going. You're not lost, you're not stuck, you are so close. Close to the version of you that already holds what you desire. Close to the unfolding of the reality that has been waiting for you to believe long enough to claim it. Don't turn back now. You've come too far to settle for shadows when the light is just a step away. Keep going. You are so close. What you must realize is that your desire is not something distant, separate, or uncertain. It is not an event waiting to happen, nor is it a dream that may or may not materialize based on the whims of circumstance. Your desire already exists. It is already complete, fully formed, present, but hidden in the unseen realm that governs all things. The greatest illusion humanity suffers from is the belief that manifestation is a process of building something from nothing, of struggling and striving to create what does not yet exist. But creation is finished. Everything you could ever desire, every possibility, every reality you could dream of, already exists in the invisible. Your work is not to create. Your work is to perceive, to align, to believe so completely that the unseen becomes seen. You were not born into lack. You were not placed here to chase shadows or to strive endlessly for what feels beyond reach. You were born with access to the infinite. Within you is the doorway to every reality, and your imagination is the key. When you dare to assume that your desire is already yours, you collapse the false distance between where you are and where you long to be. But this requires the courage to detach from your physical senses, the discipline to close your eyes to appearances and open your spirit to truth. The truth is simple yet hidden in plain sight. The outer world is only a mirror. It reflects the inner assumptions you carry. If you believe your desire is far away, life will faithfully reflect that distance. If you believe you are lacking, life will obediently echo lack. But when you step into the awareness that what you seek is already yours, already alive in the unseen, the mirror must shift to reflect that inner certainty. This is not philosophy, this is law. Most people live as prisoners of their senses. They look around and say, there's no evidence my desire is here. I see the absence, I feel the lack, I hear the silence. But the senses deceive. The senses report only the past, the delayed echo of what has already been assumed. To live by senses is to live behind the curve of creation. To live by imagination is to live ahead of it, to walk hand in hand with the unseen and call it real before the world agrees. You are the operant power of your reality. That means nothing changes until you do. The outer reflects the inner, always without exception. So when you hold to the belief that your desire is already done, when you occupy the mental state of the one who has received, reality bends, shifts, and rearranges itself to catch up with your inner conviction. This is why you must persist in assumption, even when the world offers no validation, especially when the world offers no validation. Because that space, the space between assumption and manifestation, is the proving ground of faith. What is unseen is not unreal. The unseen is the blueprint, the source code, the raw substance from which physical life takes its shape. When you imagine, when you believe, when you assume, you are rearranging the unseen in your favor. And as sure as night follows day, the seen will follow the unseen. But most quit too soon. They observe their current reality, see no evidence of change, and surrender their assumption. They abandon the unseen just before it takes form. And in doing so, they perpetuate the illusion that their desire is far away. You are not here to beg life for crumbs. You are not here to plead with fate for permission. You are here to command reality through your inner state. And your inner state must declare, it is done. My desire exists now, even if my eyes have yet to perceive it. That is not delusion. That is mastery. That is how every great transformation occurs. Not from the outside in, but from the inside out. You have been taught to chase, to strive, to earn, to prove yourself worthy of what your heart longs for. But the truth is, you are worthy by your very existence. Your longing itself is proof that your desire exists. You could not want what was impossible. Desire is seeded into your consciousness as a promise, not a tease. It is the echo of a reality that is already alive, already complete, already prepared for you. But the bridge between you and that reality is built with belief. When you wake each day, you have a choice: to believe in the physical world of effects or to believe in the unseen world of cause. If you bow to what your senses report, you remain trapped in cycles of delay. But if you dare to believe in what your spirit knows, you set creation into motion. Life cannot withhold what you claim with unwavering faith. The unseen does not play favorites. It responds to all who persist in belief, regardless of circumstance. The question is not whether your desire exists. The question is whether you will stay loyal to its existence long enough for the world to catch up. You are the vessel through which the unseen becomes seen, and your conviction is the currency that purchases reality. Your desire is not far away, it is not coming someday, it is here, now, alive in the realm of the unseen, waiting for you to hold the posture of certainty, to walk, speak, breathe, and act as though it is already yours. Because in truth it is. And when you live from that knowing, the unseen has no choice but to reveal itself as your new reality. There is a pattern hidden within every great manifestation, a secret rhythm that plays beneath the surface of your journey, unnoticed by the distracted and the impatient. And that rhythm is this: the hardest, most exhausting, most disorienting moments always come just before your breakthrough. It is not coincidence. It is not failure. It is the final threshold, the last test before the unseen becomes seen. You have likely felt it, the weight of discouragement pressing against your chest, the creeping doubt that whispers, maybe this isn't working, maybe I should stop, maybe it's not meant for me. But I tell you, those whispers do not mean you've gone astray. They mean you're closer than ever. Because resistance always rises strongest at the moment of breakthrough. It is the universal law at play. Just as the darkest hour comes before the dawn, the most difficult phase arrives before your new reality unfolds. Imagine the seed buried deep beneath the soil. For weeks, perhaps months, there is no visible sign of growth. The soil looks unchanged, the surface silent. Yet beneath that quiet earth, the seed is cracking open, roots are reaching down, a new form is preparing to emerge. But the moment just before the sprout pierces the soil, the moment just before it steps into the visible world, is a moment of tremendous tension. The earth must be pushed aside, the boundaries of the old reality must be broken, and so it is with you. The challenges, the doubts, the delays that intensify along your path are not signs to quit. They are signs that the old structure of your life is trembling, that the limitations you once accepted are cracking open. But so many abandon the process right here, mistaking pressure for punishment, mistaking discomfort for denial. They turn back, not realizing how impossibly close they were to the life they've been longing for. You must understand, discomfort is not always destruction. Fatigue is not failure. Doubt is not destiny. These feelings are echoes of the old self, the version of you that has lived without your desire, the version conditioned by lack, by limitation, by disappointment. As you draw closer to your manifestation, that old self resists. It clings to what is familiar, is misery. But you are not your doubts, you are not your fears. You are the awareness behind them, and that awareness is far more powerful than fleeting emotions. You've likely heard the stories, people who almost gave up right before their breakthrough. The person who considered walking away from their dream, only to have the opportunity arrive days later. The individual who sat in silence, questioning their worth, only to discover everything they wanted was aligning behind the scenes, unseen but unstoppable. This pattern repeats across every life, in every manifestation, because it reflects the nature of creation itself. When you are tired, when you feel stretched thin, when your doubts scream louder than your faith, you are not failing. You're expanding. Your capacity to receive is being stretched to match the magnitude of what is coming. The discomfort is proof that you are outgrowing your old limitations. It is proof that the edges of your reality are dissolving, making space for something greater. But here's the truth most overlook. The discomfort will tempt you to settle, to shrink back into comfort zones, to abandon belief, to trade the unknown for the familiar. But the familiar will never deliver what your soul longs for. You cannot birth a new reality while clinging to the safety of the old. You must be willing to walk through the fatigue, through the doubt, through the silence of unanswered prayers, knowing that those moments are not the end. They are the labor pains before your new life emerges. It takes incredible courage to stand firm when the evidence contradicts your faith. It takes unwavering resolve to keep going when nothing around you validates your belief. But that is the mark of those who master creation. They understand that the outer world is slow to reflect inner change, but reflect it must. The discomfort you feel now is not permanent. It is the final barrier dissolving, the old self protesting its inevitable demise. The final gasp of limitation before it gives way to your expansion. Your desire is not ignoring you. Life is not delaying you. What is happening is alignment. The intricate rearrangement of circumstances, people, and timing to deliver precisely what you have assumed to be true. But alignment often hides behind struggle. Breakthrough often disguises itself as breakdown, and the only way to pass through this illusion is to persist. Persistence is not about effort. It is not about forcing outcomes. It is about inner loyalty. Holding fast to your vision, to your assumption, to your faith, regardless of appearances. It is about refusing to let temporary discomfort rewrite the truth you have already claimed. It is understanding that the tension you feel is temporary, but the reality you are birthing is eternal. The greatest lie resistance whispers is that nothing is changing. But everything is changing. The unseen is bending, the energy is shifting. Life is preparing to hand you the very thing you dared to believe in. But only if you refuse to quit prematurely. Only if you walk through the exhaustion and the doubt as though they are powerless, because they are. You were not brought this far to fall short. The difficulties that seem to surround you are not obstacles. They are confirmations. They are reminders that the old reality is collapsing, that you are on the cusp of stepping into the life you have been molding within your imagination. And that life is ready to meet you, but only if you refuse to retreat when the pressure rises. So embrace the discomfort. Let the resistance fuel your resolve. Let the tiredness remind you that you are building endurance, not failing. You are not at the end. You are at the beginning of the reveal. You are so close. The unseen is working. And if you can endure just a little longer, everything you desired will stand before you, undeniable and real. What you see around you is not the truth. It is the residue of past thoughts, past assumptions, and past beliefs. Your current reality is nothing more than the delayed reflection of the state of mind you held yesterday, last week, last year. The outer world, as convincing and concrete as it appears, is old news. It is history replaying itself, the echo of mental patterns you may not even remember adopting. But here is where most people become trapped. They look at their circumstances and accept them as absolute. They believe what they see, hear, and touch holds more authority than the unseen, more authority than their imagination, more authority than their assumption, and by doing so, they remain enslaved to cycles that could have been broken long ago. You must understand that life does not originate from the outside in. The origin of your experience is internal. The world you see is the fruit, but your assumptions are the root. To change the fruit, you must go to the root. But instead of tending to the inner world, most people are obsessed with pruning branches, rearranging external details, and reacting to appearances. They fail to grasp that by the time something has shown up in the physical realm, it has already been set into motion long before by their own invisible state of being. So every minute of every second of every hour, there's a cyclic cycle of growth, death, and renewal. Your bank account, your relationships, your health, your opportunities, all of these are reflections of the assumptions you have been carrying. Whether consciously or unconsciously, you have authored the script, and life has obediently played its part. But because there is often a delay between the assumption and the manifestation, many fall into the trap of believing that what they see now is unchangeable truth. They do not realize that the present is merely the harvest of seeds they planted with their thoughts, beliefs, and feelings in the past. Think of it this way. Imagine sending a letter across the world. You write the words, seal the envelope, and send it on its journey. By the time the recipient reads your message, it has already been written, sealed, and sent long before. Your current circumstances are much like that. They are the delayed arrival of the letters you've been sending to the universe through your beliefs and assumptions. If you want to receive a different message tomorrow, you must change what you are writing today. But so many look at their present situation, their empty bank account, their loneliness, their health struggles, and they declare, "This is my reality." They make the critical mistake of judging their future by their present. They forget that the present is a reflection of the past, not a predictor of what's to come. Your current circumstances are not the author of your destiny. Your state of mind is. The moment you accept this, the moment you stop giving so much authority to appearances, you reclaim your power. You no longer react to life, you create life. You understand that to change your circumstances, you must first change the assumptions you hold in the unseen. You stop bowing to the tyranny of your senses and instead stand firm in the reality you've constructed within your imagination. The world will tempt you to judge by appearances. Your senses will tempt you to conclude that nothing is changing. But your senses report only what has been, not what is becoming. Your imagination reports what will be, if you persist. When you hold to an inner state long enough, reality must conform. This is not wishful thinking, it is law. As within, so without. But the critical piece is this: you must learn to dismiss the evidence that contradicts your inner vision. This requires discipline. The discipline to remain loyal to your imagined reality, despite external circumstances. It is easy to believe when your senses agree. But true mastery is believing when there is no visible reason to believe. It is persisting in the unseen until the seen has no choice but to reflect it. And it will, for it always does. You are not a victim of life's randomness. You are not at the mercy of chance. You are the architect of your reality, constructing every experience through the assumptions you nurture. If you assume lack, lack persists. If you assume abundance, abundance finds you. But there is a delay, a sacred, necessary delay that allows you to cultivate faith. That delay is not punishment. It is the proving ground where your new reality takes root beneath the surface. Look around at your life. Every detail you see is the delayed reflection of beliefs you've held, perhaps without realizing it. But the beauty of this understanding is that you can change the reflection. You can revise the story. You can shift your assumptions now in this moment and set in motion a future that contradicts your present circumstances. The world outside you cannot dictate what's possible. The only authority resides within you, in your imagination, your assumptions, your inner conversations. You do not wait for life to give you permission to change. You decide now. You declare yourself abundant, loved, whole, successful, regardless of what your senses report. And when you hold to that declaration, the world reshapes itself around you. The greatest illusion is the belief that the present moment defines your limits. But your present is simply the past made visible. Your true future, the reality you desire, is birthed not from what you see, but from what you believe when no one is watching, when no evidence yet exists, when only your inner world whispers the truth of what's to come. To master your reality, you must refuse to be hypnotized by appearances. You must remember that the unseen realm, the realm of imagination, assumption, and belief, is the womb of all creation. You plant the seed in the unseen, you nourish it with persistence, and in time it reveals itself as your new experience. The key is patience, the unwavering patience to persist in assumption even when the outer world contradicts you. Most abandon their desires because they misinterpret the delay as denial. But delay is not denial. Delay is the process by which the unseen prepares the seen. It is the gestation period where life rearranges itself to match your inner state. Your senses are slow. They take time to catch up with the reality you've declared within. But catch up they must. Your work is not to manipulate the outer world, but to master the inner. To hold to your assumptions with the certainty of one who knows the outer world is old news, a delayed echo of who you once were, not a prophecy of who you are becoming. When you live from this understanding, you transcend circumstances. You no longer react, you create. You no longer chase, you attract. And life, without fail, mirrors the certainty of your inner world. The single most powerful force separating those who manifest their desires from those who endlessly wait is persistence. Not effort in the physical sense, not frantic action or desperate striving, but persistence of belief. The ability to hold onto your inner assumption, your inner knowing, despite what the outer world presents to you. Your persistence is the invisible bridge between your current reality and the life you desire, and only those who cross it without surrendering to appearances ever taste the fullness of their dreams. You must understand this deeply. Reality responds to your inner state, not your fleeting emotions, not your doubts, not even your temporary actions. It responds to the state you occupy consistently, the story you tell yourself when no one is watching, the assumption you return to again and again when fear, delay, and discouragement creep in. Most people falter not because their desires are impossible, but because they abandon the assumption before the reflection has time to appear. They plant the seed, watch the soil impatiently, see no sprout within days, and declare the seed dead, never realizing how close they were to the moment of visible change. The process of manifestation is not instant because the space between assumption and reflection serves a divine purpose. It tests your loyalty to the unseen. It reveals whether you will persist in your belief when the senses argue otherwise. That is where true creation occurs. That is where the unseen bends to your will. Not when everything is easy, not when signs flood your awareness, but when you persist despite the absence of validation. The earthier senses in you are not as easy to perceive despite the absence of validation. The world around you operates like a mirror, but mirrors have delay. When you shift your inner state, the reflection must change, but it takes time. It takes unwavering belief to stand in front of a mirror that still reflects the old reality and declare, "This is no longer me." The reflection will catch up. Most cannot endure that moment of apparent contradiction. They look at the unchanged reflection and conclude, it's not working. And in that conclusion, they plant seeds of delay, seeds of disbelief, seeds of stagnation. But for those who persist, for those who understand the unseen shapes the seen, the results are inevitable. The reflection must change. The world must conform. It is not a question of if, it is only a question of when. Your work is not to manipulate timing. Your work is to master your state of being. To return again and again to the assumption that your desire is already yours. To live, breathe, and respond as the version of you who already possesses what they see. Persistence is not rigid effort. It is quiet, steady certainty. It is the calm conviction that reality has no choice but to rearrange itself around your dominant state. You see, life listens to the dominant assumption, not the occasional hope, not the fleeting prayer uttered once before retreating into doubt. It listens to what you persist in believing, especially in the silence, especially when evidence is absent. You can measure your alignment by your reactions. When circumstances contradict your desire, do you waver or do you stand firm in your unseen knowing? When time stretches longer than expected, do you doubt or do you remind yourself, this is old news, my new reality is inevitable? Persistence is not about resisting reality. It's about understanding that current reality is the product of past assumptions. And if you hold to the new assumption long enough, the outer world transforms to match it. The most successful manifestors are not those who never face doubt. They are those who feel doubt and yet return to belief, who notice unfavorable circumstances and yet refuse to be defined by them, who encounter delay and yet walk with the certainty that delay is simply the space in which reality rearranges itself to deliver the unseen. The great illusion is that action alone creates change, but your actions flow from your inner state. Action taken from fear breeds chaos. Action taken from lack reinforces scarcity. But action, or even stillness, taken from the unwavering assumption of fulfillment bends reality in your favor. Your persistence in belief is the true work. The outer world responds to that inner consistency. Consider the sculptor chiseling away at a block of stone. Each strike of the hammer seems insignificant. Yet with persistence, the form hidden within the stone is revealed. Your assumption, your inner dialogue, your belief, these are the tools with which you sculpt your reality. One moment of disbelief, one glance at unfavorable circumstances does not undo your progress. But abandoning your assumption entirely does. Most give up inches from the finish line. They grow weary of the unseen. They declare their dream dead because the senses have yet to confirm it. But manifestation does not cater to impatience. It honors those who persist, regardless of appearances. The question is not whether your desire exists. The question is whether you will stand in unwavering alignment with it long enough for the mirror of life to reflect. Your persistence declares to life itself, this is my reality now, and life, ever obedient, reshapes itself to mirror your declaration. You are not begging for scraps from the universe. You are commanding reality through your inner state. But the command only holds if you persist. If you waver with every delayed sign, with every temporary contradiction, you prolong the manifestation. But if you stand firm, if you persist with the quiet, unshakable knowing that it is done, the outer world bends and your desire reveals itself. There is no mystery to this process. It is law, unchanging, impersonal, reliable. Your only task is to persist in the unseen, knowing the seen must eventually obey. You are so much closer than your senses reveal. Your persistence is the final key. Do not retreat now. Do not trade the unseen reality for the illusion of lack. Hold fast to your assumption, and the mirror of life must reflect your new truth. You are not waiting for your desire. You are walking toward it, moment by moment, thought by thought, assumption by assumption. Every time you return to the version of yourself who already has what they desire, every time you occupy the mental state of fulfillment, you are stepping closer to the inevitable merging of your current reality with the reality you've imagined. But most cannot see this invisible journey, so they conclude that nothing is happening. They believe the absence of outer evidence means the absence of progress, never realizing that the unseen work is the only real work that matters. You must understand that there are infinite versions of you existing right now, versions of you that have already succeeded, versions of you that are abundant, loved, healthy, fulfilled. These versions are not distant possibilities, they are parallel realities, already alive in the unseen, waiting for your alignment. And how do you align? By assuming their state. By thinking, feeling, believing, and acting as though you are already that version of yourself. When you do this, the gap between where you are and where you desire to be begins to dissolve. Life does not move linearly, it moves by states of consciousness. Your external world reshapes itself the moment you shift your internal state. You are not climbing toward your dream as though it resides on some faraway mountaintop. You are shifting into the version of you who already stands at the summit. But that shift happens first within the unseen, within your beliefs, your assumptions, your identity. You are walking toward your desire not with your physical steps, but with your mental alignment. Every thought that aligns with your desired reality, every assumption that confirms your worthiness, every belief that reinforces it is already mine, draws you closer to the visible manifestation. But the greatest challenge is the discipline to stay there, to stay mentally and emotionally in the state of fulfillment, even when nothing outside reflects it yet. The unseen journey is not marked by obvious milestones. There are no physical signs flashing, "You're almost there." Instead, you navigate by your inner world, by the certainty, the calm, the knowing that arises when you embody your desired state. When you do this consistently, life reorganizes itself to match that version of you. People, opportunities, circumstances begin to reflect the new state you've occupied. But most people sabotage this process. They return to the old version of themselves at the slightest delay, at the faintest whisper of doubt. They begin to identify again with lack, with separation, with unworthiness. And in doing so, they pause their progress. It's as though they take a step toward the desired version of themselves, then 2 steps back, constantly oscillating between who they were and who they are becoming. But when you persist, when you consistently choose to identify with the version of you who already has it all, you build momentum. You reduce the distance between your current life and your desired life, and eventually the lines blur. The outer world catches up, and what was once unseen becomes undeniable. You must live as though the new version of you is already here. Your reactions, your thoughts, your self-talk, they must align with that reality. You cannot wish for change while reinforcing the old state through your identity. You cannot beg for abundance while identifying with lack. You cannot desire love while embodying unworthiness. The outer world is too obedient, too faithful to reflect anything other than the dominant state you inhabit. When you understand this, you stop chasing. You stop waiting. You start embodying. You become the version of you who already possesses the desire. You speak from that place. You think from that place. You expect from that place. And life, by law, responds. This is the journey most overlooked. The invisible walk toward the desired self. It feels subtle, internal, intangible at times, but it is the only journey that matters. Everything else, the actions, the opportunities, the manifestations, flow effortlessly from this alignment. The reality you want already exists. You are not building it from scratch. You are aligning with it, collapsing the false distance between you and it by stepping into the version of yourself who has already arrived. But this requires awareness, a constant returning to your chosen state, especially when appearances tempt you to believe otherwise. Every moment you hold the state of fulfillment, you dissolve another layer of separation. You inch closer to the reflection of your inner world appearing in the outer world. You reinforce to life itself, "This is who I am now." And life, always obedient, conforms. But this is not about forcing change in the physical world. It's about becoming change in the unseen. The seen is slow to catch up, but catch up it must. Your only task is to remain in alignment, to persist in the state of the fulfilled self, to walk mentally toward the version of you who already has it all. You must recognize the signs along this invisible path, the growing peace, the subtle knowing, the diminishing urgency. These are clues that you are stepping closer, that you are merging with your desired self. But you must not let outer circumstances dictate your progress. They lag behind. They are echoes, not indicators. The true measure of your progress is internal. The strength of your assumption, the ease with which you occupy the desired state, the reduction of doubt, the increase of certainty. When these grow, you know you are near. You know the merging of inner and outer realities is inevitable. The question is not whether your desire is coming, it already exists. The question is whether you will consistently walk toward the version of you who holds it, without wavering, without retreating into the old self. When you do, when you hold to that alignment long enough, the unseen crystallizes into form, and the life you've imagined stands before you as undeniable fact. You are not alone, though it may feel like it. In the silence of your struggle, when the world cannot see your weariness, God knows. There is a power within you that observes, that understands, and that has never left your side. You are tired, not just in body but in spirit, and yet this weariness is not the end of you. It is the moment when transformation begins. God knows you're tired of carrying the weight of doubt, fear, and unanswered questions. But what if I told you that this fatigue is not a punishment? What if it's the invitation for something greater to rise within you? You see, every time you feel the strain of life, it is a signal, a call to awaken to the truth of who you really are. The power you seek is not out there somewhere, it is alive within you, waiting for your recognition. The struggle, the exhaustion, they are not signs of defeat. They are whispers reminding you that you are more than this temporary state of being. You are a creator gifted with the ability to shape your reality by the thoughts you hold and the faith you carry. Do not let the weariness define you. Instead, let it guide you back to the core of your being. Close your eyes for a moment and feel it. The presence of God is not separate from you. It is in every breath, in every heartbeat. It sees your tiredness and offers you rest, not in the way the world defines it, but in a deep, unshakable knowing that you are loved, supported, and carried. You don't have to figure it all out right now. You don't have to force or fight. Simply surrender to this truth: God knows, and because God knows, you are never forgotten. Lift your gaze from the weight of your circumstances and dare to imagine a life beyond the fatigue. Imagine joy, peace, and freedom not as distant dreams, but as realities that already exist within you. The moment you align with these feelings, even in your weariness, you begin to shift. You begin to heal. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to know how or when the path will unfold. Trust that it will. Trust that God sees the bigger picture, even when you cannot. Trust that your tired soul is being prepared for something beautiful, something you cannot yet comprehend. And in this trust, find rest. Find the peace that surpasses understanding. You are held even now, even in this. God knows you are tired, and in that knowing there is grace, there is renewal, and there is a promise that you are never alone. Let go of the weight. Let go of the fear, based in the truth of who you are and what you are becoming. God knows, and that is enough. You may feel as though you've reached the limit of what you can bear. There are moments when the exhaustion is so profound it seems to press against your very soul. The tears you've cried, the nights you've spent in silence, and the prayers whispered into the void, all of it is known. Not a single moment of your pain has gone unnoticed. The power within you, the God who is closer than your own breath, has witnessed it all. But here is the truth you must hold on to: you are not abandoned. There is purpose even in the tiredness. Every step you've taken, no matter how heavy, has led you to this moment. And though you may not see it now, there is a reason for every trial, every burden. It is preparing you, refining you, and awakening you to a greater truth about who you are. You were never meant to carry this weight alone. You were never meant to fight through life as though it is a battle you must win through sheer force. The divine presence within you is your strength, your peace, your rest. When you feel like giving up, remember this: the very act of surrender is not weakness but power. To surrender is to trust that the infinite intelligence of the universe is working on your behalf, even when you cannot see it. You are being guided, even in your moments of despair. The weariness you feel is not a sign that you have failed, it is a sign that you are human. But beyond this human experience lies the eternal, the unshakable truth that you are more than your struggles. Pause for a moment and consider this: everything you are going through is temporary. The tiredness, the pain, the uncertainty, they are fleeting. Yet the spirit within you is eternal. It is unchanging, undying, and forever connected to the source of all creation. When you align with this truth, when you allow yourself to rest in the knowledge that God knows and sees you, something miraculous begins to happen. The burdens you carry start to feel lighter, not because the circumstances have necessarily changed, but because your perspective has shifted. You see, the power within you doesn't need external proof to act. It doesn't wait for conditions to be perfect. It only needs your faith that, even in your tiredness, you are being upheld. Faith that, even in the silence, God is speaking to you. Faith that, even in the darkness, there is a light guiding your way. When you feel too tired to take another step, remember that you don't have to. You can pause, you can breathe, you can allow yourself to simply be. The world has conditioned us to believe that we must always be moving, always doing, always striving. But the truth is, there is great power in stillness. In the stillness, you reconnect with the essence of who you are. You remember that you are not defined by your exhaustion or your struggles. You are defined by the infinite love and power that dwells within you. God knows you are tired of the same battles, the same disappointments, the same unanswered prayers. But consider this: what if the very thing you are tired of is the thing that is shaping you? What if the challenges you face are molding you into the person you are meant to become? What if, in the midst of your weariness, you are being prepared for something so extraordinary that you cannot yet comprehend it? The path you are on may be difficult, but it is not meaningless. Every step, every moment of fatigue is leading you closer to the fulfillment of your destiny. And even when you feel like you cannot go on, know this: you are being carried. The same power that created the stars and set the planets in motion resides within you. That power knows no limits, no boundaries. It cannot be exhausted, and it cannot fail. So when you feel like you've reached your breaking point, remember that you are not alone. The divine presence within you is your strength, and it is always available to you. All you need to do is turn inward and listen. Listen to the still, small voice that whispers you are loved. You are enough. You are not forgotten. Take a moment to let go of the need to understand everything. Release the questions that weigh you down. Why is this happening? When will it get better? How will I ever overcome this? These questions are born from a mind that seeks control. But the answers lie in surrender. Trust that God knows the answers. Even if you do not, trust that you are exactly where you are meant to be, even if it doesn't make sense right now. It is okay to feel tired. It is okay to not have all the answers. But it is not okay to forget who you are. You are not just a body moving through this world, burdened by the weight of life. You are a divine being created with purpose and filled with infinite potential. The tiredness you feel is not the end of you, it is the beginning of a new chapter. Let this tiredness be the catalyst that draws you closer to the truth. Let it remind you that you cannot do it all on your own, and you were never meant to. Let it teach you the beauty of leaning on the presence within you, the presence that knows your heart, your struggles, and your deepest desires. When you feel too weak to pray, know that God is already answering the prayers of your heart. When you feel too tired to hope, know that hope is being restored within you even now. When you feel like you cannot take another step, know that you are being carried. Do not let the weariness of the moment convince you that you are powerless. You are not. You are far more powerful than you realize, but that power does not come from the mind or the body. It comes from the spirit within you, the spirit that is one with God. Close your eyes and imagine for a moment that all the burdens you carry are being lifted. Imagine the weight falling away, the heaviness dissolving into light. Feel the peace that comes from knowing you are not alone. Feel the strength that rises within you when you trust that God knows and that God cares. You may not see the path ahead, but you don't need to. The same power that brought you to this moment will carry you through. All you need to do is take one step at a time, trusting that each step is guided. And when you are too tired to take another step, rest in the knowledge that you are being carried. God knows that you are tired. And because God knows, there is no need to fear, no need to strive, no need to force. You are exactly where you are meant to be, and everything is unfolding as it should. Trust in this truth. Trust in this promise. And know that even in your weariness, you are loved beyond measure. Allow yourself to rest not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Rest in the truth that you are enough. Rest in the knowledge that you are being guided. Rest in the assurance that you are never alone. God knows your heart, your struggles, and your pain, and because God knows, you can let go of the need to carry it all on your own. You are not defined by your tiredness. You are defined by the infinite love and power that dwells within you. You are not broken, you are becoming. You are not lost, you are being found. And you are not alone, you are always held. Let the weariness fade into the background as you reconnect with the truth of who you are. Let the light within you shine brighter than the struggles you face. Let the presence of God fill you with peace, strength, and hope. Even now, as you listen to these words, something is shifting within you. The tiredness may still be there, but it no longer defines you. You are awakening to the truth of your being, the truth that has always been there but has sometimes been forgotten. God knows that you are tired, but God also knows that you are capable of more than you realize. Trust in this knowing. Rest in this truth, and allow yourself to be carried by the infinite love and power that is always with you. When you are weary, it is not just your body that cries out for rest, it is your soul seeking alignment with the truth of its being. In this state of exhaustion, there is a stillness waiting to be discovered, a place within you where peace resides. It is here in this sacred space that God speaks, not through thunder or lightning, but through the quiet whisper of reassurance. I know you. I see you. I am with you. The tiredness you feel is not a failure, nor is it a sign of weakness. It is a gentle nudge to pause, to reflect, and to surrender the burdens you have carried for far too long. Perhaps you've been trying to do it all on your own, relying on your own strength, thinking that the weight of the world is yours alone to bear. But let me remind you, you were never meant to do this alone. The power that created you, the power that sustains all life, is here now, ready to carry you when you can no longer carry yourself. You see, the divine presence within you understands every sigh, every tear, every moment of doubt and fear. Even when you feel unseen by others, you are fully known and deeply loved by the one who resides within you. This love does not demand that you push through your pain or ignore your exhaustion. On the contrary, it invites you to rest, to release, and to trust. Rest is not the absence of movement, it is the presence of peace. It is the willingness to let go of the need to control every outcome, to trust that what is meant for you will never miss you, and that what seems like a delay is not a denial. Rest is the realization that God's timing is perfect, even when it feels like nothing is happening. Rest is the act of surrendering your worries and fears, knowing that the same power that holds the stars in place is holding you. Take a moment to reflect on the times in your life when you thought you couldn't go on, yet somehow you did. Was it your own strength that carried you, or was it something greater? That same power is with you now. It has never left you, and it never will. The weariness you feel is temporary, but the love and support of God are eternal. Sometimes we grow tired not because of the physical task before us, but because of the emotional and mental weight we carry. The thoughts of unworthiness, the regrets of the past, the fears of the future, these are the real burdens that exhaust us. But what if you could release them? What if you could lay them down and trust that they are no longer yours to bear? Imagine the freedom, the lightness, the peace that would come. You see, you are not your mistakes. You are not your failures. You are not the sum of the things that went wrong in your life. You are a being of infinite worth, created by love and for love. The struggles you face are not meant to break you, they are meant to build you, to awaken you to the truth of who you are. And the truth is this: you are stronger than you think, braver than you feel, and more loved than you can imagine. In moments of weariness, it's easy to believe that you are stuck, that nothing will ever change, that the same struggles will repeat endlessly. But let me remind you of a powerful truth: nothing in this world is permanent. The seasons change, the tides rise and fall, and the night always gives way to the dawn. Your tiredness is not a permanent state, it is a passing moment. And in this moment you are being prepared for a new beginning. God knows that you are tired, but God also knows what lies ahead for you. There are blessings on the horizon, opportunities you cannot yet see, and breakthroughs that will come when you least expect them. The weariness you feel now is not the end of your story, it is the turning point. It is the moment when you are called to trust, to have faith, and to hold on. Do not underestimate the power of small acts of faith. A single prayer whispered in the stillness of the night can move mountains. A single thought of gratitude can shift your perspective from lack to abundance. A single moment of surrender can open the door to miracles. Faith does not require you to have all the answers, it only requires you to believe that the answers exist and that they are already unfolding in your favor. As you listen to these words, I invite you to release the tension in your body, to quiet the racing thoughts in your mind, and to connect with the stillness within you. Feel the presence of God, not as something distant or separate, but as the very essence of who you are. Feel the love that surrounds you, the peace that fills you, and the strength that sustains you. In this stillness, you may begin to hear the gentle voice of reassurance: you are not alone. You are not forgotten. You are loved beyond measure. This is the truth that will carry you through your tiredness, the truth that will lift you when you feel like you cannot go on. It's important to remember that even the strongest among us grow weary. Even the most faithful have moments of doubt. But it is in these moments that we are reminded of our humanity and our need for divine connection. It is in our weakness that God's strength is revealed. It is in our surrender that we find our greatest power. You may not know what the future holds, but you can trust the one who holds the future. You may not see the path ahead, but you can trust that it is being revealed step by step. You may not feel strong right now, but you can trust that strength is being renewed within you. This is the promise of God's love, that even in your tiredness you are being held, supported, and guided. The world may tell you to keep pushing, to keep striving, to ignore your weariness and press on. But the voice of God invites you to rest, to trust, and to let go. This rest is not a giving up, it is a giving over. It is an act of faith, a declaration that you believe in something greater than yourself. As you continue on your journey, carry this truth with you: God knows that you are tired. And because God knows, you are never alone. The strength you need is already within you. The peace you seek is already yours. The love you long for has never left you. Trust in this truth, rest in this promise, and know that you are deeply, endlessly, and unconditionally loved. Let the tiredness you feel now be the beginning of something beautiful. Let it be the moment you release the burdens you were never meant to carry. Let it be the moment you remember who you truly are: a divine being, created by love, sustained by grace, and destined for greatness. And when the weariness returns, as it sometimes will, let it be a reminder to turn inward, to reconnect with the presence of God within you. Let it draw you closer to the truth, closer to the peace, and closer to the love that is always with you. You are not defined by your tiredness, you are defined by the infinite power within you. And that power is always enough. Rest in this truth, trust in this promise, And know that even in your weariness, you are never alone. God knows, God sees, and God is always with you. Always. There is a profound beauty in the act of surrendering your tiredness to God. It's not an act of defeat, rather, it is a declaration of trust. Trust that the energy you need will come, that the guidance you seek will arrive, and that the peace you long for is already making its way into your life. Too often we resist this surrender because we believe that being tired is a sign of weakness, something to be hidden or overcome. But what if your tiredness is not a weakness but a message? What if it is God's way of calling you back to yourself, back to Him, back to the divine rhythm of rest and renewal? When you are tired, it is easy to focus on everything that seems wrong, everything that feels overwhelming. But God calls you to shift your focus, not outward to the chaos, but inward to the stillness. In this stillness, you will find that your tiredness is not a problem to be solved, but a bridge to deeper connection. It is in your moments of greatest weariness that God's presence becomes most apparent, not because He suddenly arrives, but because your tiredness has quieted the noise of the world enough for you to hear Him. Every breath you take is an act of grace. Every beat of your heart is a reminder of the life within you. Even when you feel depleted, there is a sacred energy sustaining you. This energy is not something you have to earn, it is a gift freely given. And yet, how often do we forget this? How often do we strive and struggle as though we are the source of our own strength? God never intended for you to bear the weight of life alone. He has always been with you, carrying you when you could not carry yourself. Think of the times when you have faced what seemed impossible. Perhaps there was a moment when you were certain you couldn't take another step, and yet somehow you did. That somehow is the grace of God. That somehow is the evidence of His presence in your life. And if He carried you then, He will carry you now. His strength does not waver. His love does not falter. His promise does not change. The tiredness you feel is not here to punish you, it is here to remind you of your humanity, to invite you into a deeper relationship with the divine. It is an opportunity to pause and reflect on what truly matters. Are you carrying burdens that are not yours to carry? Are you striving for things that do not nourish your soul? Are you allowing the world's demands to drown out the gentle voice of God within you? When you feel tired, you may be tempted to isolate yourself, to withdraw from the world in an attempt to recharge. While solitude can be a powerful tool for renewal, remember that you are never truly alone. Even in your quietest moments, God is with you, whispering words of comfort and encouragement. He knows every thought before you think it, every feeling before you feel it. You don't have to explain your tiredness to Him, He already understands. And yet He also invites you to speak, to share your heart, to lay your burdens before Him. There is power in prayer, not because it changes God, but because it changes you. When you pour out your weariness to Him, you create space within yourself for His peace to enter. You open the door for His strength to flow through you. Prayer is not a task to be completed, it is a conversation, a connection, a reminder that you are never alone. Consider the story of a seed buried in the earth. At first glance, it seems as though nothing is happening. The soil is dark, the seed is hidden, and the process of growth is invisible. But beneath the surface, life is stirring. The seed is drawing nourishment from its surroundings, preparing to break through the earth and reach for the light. Your tiredness is like that seed. It may feel like darkness, like stillness, like nothing is happening. But in truth, it is a season of preparation. God is working within you, nourishing your soul and preparing you for the growth that is to come. Do not rush this process. Do not resist it. Trust that the same power that brings the seed to life is bringing you to life as well. Trust that your tiredness is not the end, but the beginning of something beautiful. Trust that God's timing is perfect, even when it feels slow. There is a divine order to everything, and your life is no exception. The rest you take today is the foundation for the strength you will need tomorrow. The stillness you embrace now is the preparation for the movement that lies ahead. You may wonder how to find rest when the demands of life feel relentless. You may ask, how can I pause when there is so much to do? But rest is not merely the absence of activity, it is the presence of peace. It is the decision to trust that what needs to be done will be done in its own time. It is the willingness to release control and allow God to guide you. Rest is not a luxury, it is a necessity. It is the fertile ground in which your soul can grow, the sacred pause that allows you to reconnect with your true self. In your moments of rest, you may discover that the things you once thought were urgent are not as important as they seemed. You may find that the answers you were seeking come not through effort but through surrender. You may realize that the strength you need is already within you, waiting to be uncovered. This is the gift of rest. It reveals the truth that has been within you all along. God knows that you are tired, but He also knows that you are capable of more than you can imagine. He knows the dreams that lie dormant within you, the potential that is waiting to be awakened. Your tiredness is not a limitation, it is a doorway. It is the moment when you step beyond your own strength and into His. It is the moment when you realize that you were never meant to do it all on your own. Even now, as you listen to these words, God is working within you. He is renewing your mind, strengthening your heart, and preparing you for what lies ahead. The path may not always be easy, but you are never walking it alone. With every step you take, He is there, guiding you, supporting you, and reminding you of your worth. Take a moment to breathe deeply, to feel the presence of God within you. Let go of the tension in your body, the worries in your mind, the burdens in your heart. In this moment you are held. In this moment you are loved. In this moment you are enough. As you continue on your journey, remember that tiredness is not a sign of failure. It is a sign of your humanity. It is an invitation to rest, to reconnect, to remember the truth of who you are. You are a child of God, created in love, sustained by grace, and destined for greatness. No matter how weary you feel, this truth remains unchanged. So rest in this truth. Trust in this promise. And know that even in your tiredness, you are deeply, endlessly, and unconditionally loved. God knows, God sees, and God is always with you. Always. Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever had those moments, the ones where your heart is heavy? Your prayers seem to linger unanswered, and you wonder if anyone is listening. Moments when you cried out with all your soul, only to be met with silence. It's as if the heavens themselves have closed their doors, leaving you standing alone in the quiet. But what if I told you that this silence isn't what it seems? That it's not the end of the conversation, but the beginning of something extraordinary? What if this silence is not God turning away, but an invitation, a sacred pause, calling you to dig deeper, to look within, and to uncover a power you may have overlooked? You see, silence isn't abandonment. It's the whisper of a greater purpose waiting to unfold. It's a space where hope is born, where strength takes root, and where clarity begins to emerge. Silence is not the absence of answers, but the canvas on which your next chapter is painted. When God seems silent, it's easy to feel lost, like you're standing in the middle of a vast, empty wilderness. But think for a moment about nature. A seed, when it's planted, is buried in the darkness of the soil. To the outside world, nothing seems to be happening. Yet beneath the surface, that seed is undergoing incredible transformation. Roots are growing, nutrients are being absorbed, and the foundation for life is being established. God's silence often works in the same way. In our lives, this silence can feel suffocating, but it's not wasted time. It's a period of preparation. Growth is rarely loud or flashy. It's slow and deliberate. The silence isn't a sign of abandonment, it's a sign of deep internal work being done. It's during these moments that you are being prepared for something greater. Consider how personal growth often requires reflection, solitude, and stillness. When life is noisy and chaotic, we seldom pause to evaluate our direction or purpose. God's silence creates the necessary space for us to stop, look inward, and start asking the right questions. Who am I becoming? What lessons am I meant to learn here? Silence also helps us confront our own resistance. We often cling to what's familiar, even when it no longer serves us. In the quiet, we're faced with the truth about our habits, our fears, and our limiting beliefs. This self-awareness is essential for transformation, and it's a gift that comes through silence. Spiritual growth requires trust in the unseen and in the process. Just as the seed cannot see the sunlight above, you may not see what God is preparing for you. But trust that the silence is working in your favor, even if it's not immediately evident. Many of the world's greatest breakthroughs happen after periods of silence. Think about how artists, inventors, and thinkers often retreat into solitude before creating their masterpieces. This pattern holds true in our spiritual lives. God's silence is not a void, it's the groundwork for something beautiful. You're not buried, you're planted. And in time, just as the seed breaks through the soil to reach the light, you too will emerge stronger, wiser, and more prepared for what lies ahead. Faith is easy when life is smooth, when prayers are answered quickly, and when signs of progress are visible. But true faith, the kind that sustains us through life's greatest challenges, is forged in the fire of uncertainty. When God seems silent, it's not a test of your worth, it's a strengthening of your faith. Faith is like a muscle. To grow stronger, it must be exercised, stretched, and challenged. If everything were handed to us immediately, our faith would remain weak and fragile. Silence is God's way of inviting you to build the spiritual endurance you need for the journey ahead. Think of moments in your life when you've had to waiting for a promotion, waiting for healing, waiting for a breakthrough. In those moments, you probably felt frustration, doubt, and even fear. But as you waited, you also learned patience. You learned how to trust that things would come together, even if you couldn't see how. That trust is the foundation of strong faith. Silence forces us to rely on something greater than our senses. When answers don't come, we're compelled to lean into belief rather than evidence. This is the essence of faith, the ability to stand firm, even when everything around you feels uncertain. It's important to remember that faith isn't passive. It's not just sitting back and waiting, it's an active process of trusting, praying, and aligning your actions with your beliefs. When God seems silent, it's an opportunity to deepen this practice. Many of the great spiritual figures in history experienced silence from God. Think of Job, who endured immense suffering without immediate answers. Yet, his unwavering faith became an example for generations to follow. God's silence didn't diminish Job's faith, it revealed its strength. So, when you find yourself in the quiet, don't see it as abandonment. See it as an invitation to grow. Strengthen your faith by holding on to hope, by continuing to pray, and by trusting that God's plan is unfolding, even when you can't yet see it. When the external world feels silent and unresponsive, there's one place you can always turn: within. Your imagination is a powerful tool, a sacred gift that allows you to envision possibilities far beyond your current circumstances. When God seems silent, He's often encouraging you to use this tool to create, dream, and shape your reality. Imagination isn't just for children or daydreamers, it's the foundation of everything meaningful in life. Every invention, every work of art, every great achievement began as a thought in someone's mind. When God is quiet, He's giving you space to imagine what's next. Scripture often emphasizes the importance of visualization and belief. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. This isn't just a poetic phrase, it's a spiritual principle. What you consistently imagine with faith and conviction begins to take form in your life. When the answers aren't clear, imagination becomes your bridge. Close your eyes and see the outcome you desire. Feel it, believe it, and live as though it's already yours. This practice aligns your heart and mind with your faith, opening the door for God to work in ways you can't yet comprehend. God often works through the desires and visions He plants in our hearts. If there's a dream or goal that keeps resurfacing in your imagination, trust that it's not random. It's a divine nudge, a clue about the path you're meant to follow. Imagination also shifts your focus from despair to possibility. When life feels stagnant or hopeless, picturing a brighter future rekindles your hope. It reminds you that silence isn't the end of the story, it's a pause before the next chapter. Use your imagination to see the life you're working toward. Speak it into existence, believe in its reality, and watch as your vision becomes a tangible part of your journey. Patience is not a natural state for most of us. In a world of instant gratification, waiting feels like agony. Yet when God seems silent, He is teaching us the art of patience, a virtue that refines our character and strengthens our trust in His perfect timing. Patience isn't just about waiting, it's about how we wait. Are we anxious and frustrated, or are we calm and trusting? Think about the seasons in nature. Winter might seem lifeless, but it's a time when the earth is preparing for the bloom of spring. Likewise, periods of silence in our lives are not barren, they are fertile grounds for growth. God's timing operates on a higher level than ours, often bringing blessings we didn't even know we needed. Patience forces us to let go of control. When we don't get immediate answers, we're reminded that we are not the architects of our destiny. This surrender is not a weakness, it's an act of faith, acknowledging that God's wisdom surpasses our understanding. It's in the letting go that we find peace amid uncertainty. Silence also teaches us to be present in the moment. Instead of rushing toward the future, we learn to appreciate the here and now. This patience allows us to find joy in small victories, to notice God's subtle movements in our lives, and to build a deeper connection with Him. Great things take time. Consider a masterpiece painting. It isn't created in haste. The artist carefully layers each stroke, allowing time for the vision to unfold. God's silence is like those strokes, each one contributing to a masterpiece that will reveal itself in due time. Patience also transforms our perspective. It teaches us to trust that delays are not denials. What feels like a pause is often God's way of preparing the right circumstances for your blessings. Remember, waiting doesn't mean nothing is happening, it means the best is yet to come. So, when you're faced with silence, embrace it as a chance to develop patience. Let it remind you that while you wait, God is working behind the scenes, orchestrating something far greater than you could ever imagine. The desires that stir in your heart are not random. They are seeds planted by God, meant to guide you toward your purpose. When God seems silent, it doesn't mean He has forgotten your desires. Instead, it's often His way of reminding you that those dreams require nurturing faith and persistence. Think of a seed buried in the ground. It's hidden, seemingly inactive, but within it lies the potential for life. Your desires are the same. They may feel dormant during times of silence, but they are far from lifeless. These periods are opportunities to water those desires with faith and align your actions with them. God's silence also gives us time to discern which desires are truly aligned with His will. Not every wish we hold is meant for us. Silence invites introspection, helping us separate fleeting wants from the deeper, God-given aspirations that fuel our souls. Desires grow through intentional action. If you have a dream, ask yourself, am I doing my part? God often works through our efforts. Take small steps each day toward your goals, trusting that He will meet you along the way. Progress, no matter how slow, is a sign that your desires are growing. Silence can also be a time of pruning, just as a gardener trims branches to encourage healthy growth. God may be using this quiet period to remove distractions and refine your path. Trust that this process is preparing you for something greater than you can currently go. The gestation period of desires varies. Some dreams come to fruition quickly, while others take years. Think of the oak tree, which takes decades to grow into its full majesty. The silence you experience now may be the groundwork for something monumental later. Every great achievement begins as a simple desire. Trust that the seeds planted in your heart are there for a reason. Water them with faith, patience, and persistence, and watch as they eventually blossom into realities far greater than you imagined. When God seems silent, the temptation is to focus on what's missing: answers, clarity, or progress. But gratitude shifts our perspective, turning our attention to what we already have. Gratitude isn't just a polite response to blessings, it's a powerful force that opens doors and aligns us with abundance. Gratitude changes the lens through which we view our circumstances. Instead of dwelling on the silence, it allows us to see the subtle ways God is already working in our lives. The breath in your lungs, the sunrise you witnessed this morning, the people who love you, these are daily reminders of God's presence. This practice also trains your mind to focus on the positive. Silence can feel like a void, but gratitude fills that space with hope and joy. It reminds you that even in the waiting, there is so much to be thankful for. This shift in mindset creates a ripple effect, attracting more blessings into your life. Gratitude is also a declaration of faith. When you thank God for blessings yet to come, you're demonstrating trust in His plan. You're saying, I may not see it yet, but I believe it's on the way. This act of faith has the power to bring you closer to the answers you're seeking. Studies have even shown that gratitude improves mental and physical health. It reduces stress, enhances well-being, and boosts resilience. When you approach silence with a grateful heart, you're not just nurturing your spirit, you're also strengthening your body and mind. Gratitude doesn't mean ignoring your struggles. It's about acknowledging them while choosing to focus on the good. It's saying, yes, this moment is hard, but I am still blessed in countless ways. This dual awareness fosters both humility and strength. In times of silence, gratitude becomes your anchor. It steadies you, keeping you grounded in faith and hope. Practice it daily. Write down 3 things you're thankful for. Say a prayer of thanks, or simply reflect on your blessings. Gratitude isn't just a response to what God has done. It's an act of trust in what He will do. When God seems silent, it can often feel as if you're waiting on Him to move. But what if the reality is that He's waiting on you? God's silence can be an invitation to take ownership of your life and make decisions rooted in faith. Your ability to decide with clarity and conviction is a critical part of your spiritual journey. Too often we hold back, afraid of making the wrong choice. We wait for a clear sign or direct instruction, forgetting that God has given us free will and the ability to choose. This silence might be His way of saying, the tools are already in your hands, what will you do with them? This is a reminder that faith isn't just about waiting, it's about acting. A decision is a declaration of your belief in what's possible. When you choose a path and step forward, you signal your faith in God's guidance. Even if the path feels uncertain, your willingness to take that first step demonstrates trust that God will guide your feet as you walk. Inaction can be a form of fear. It's easy to confuse indecision with patience, but true patience requires movement. If you're praying for guidance but hesitant to act, ask yourself, am I truly waiting on God, or am I afraid to take the next step? Often His silence is an invitation for you to move first. Taking action doesn't mean you'll always have all the answers up front. Sometimes clarity comes only after you've begun the journey. Think of a GPS, it doesn't guide you until you start moving. God's silence works the same way. He may be waiting for you to take that leap of faith so He can provide direction. Your decisions also shape your identity. Every choice you make declares who you believe yourself to be. When God seems silent, use this time to align your decisions with the person you want to become. Decide boldly, knowing that God honors faith-filled choices. When faced with silence, don't just stand still. Take a moment to reflect, pray, and then move forward with confidence. Your decision may be the very thing God has been waiting for to bring your next blessing to life. In moments of silence, one of the greatest challenges we face is doubt. Our worth, our purpose, and our ability to overcome. But God's silence is often a call to remember who you are, to redefine your identity, and to align yourself with the truth of your divine potential. Your identity is more powerful than you realize. The way you see yourself determines how you navigate life's challenges. When you believe you are weak, you will act accordingly. But when you embrace the truth that you are created in God's image, capable, resilient, and worthy, you step into a new reality. During periods of silence, ask yourself, who am I becoming in this moment? Use this time to reflect on how your thoughts and beliefs align with your desired future. If you see yourself as someone who is defeated, you'll live in defeat. But if you choose to see yourself as victorious, your actions and decisions will reflect that truth. God's silence doesn't change His promises. If He has called you to greatness, that truth remains, even when you don't feel it. Use this quiet season to declare who you are, not based on your circumstances, but on God's word. Speak life over yourself. I am strong. I am loved. I am capable. I am chosen. Your identity is also shaped by the thoughts you nurture. Pay attention to your inner dialogue during times of silence. Are you feeding fear, or are you fostering faith? Remember, your thoughts are seeds. Plant ones that reflect the reality you wish to create. The silence can also be a time of shedding false identities. Perhaps you've been holding on to labels or beliefs that no longer serve you, labels like failure, not enough, or unworthy. Let this season be one of transformation, where you release those lies and step into the truth of who you are. Your identity shapes your actions, and your actions shape your reality. Use God's silence as an opportunity to align your self-perception with His vision for your life. When you truly know who you are, no silence, no obstacle, and no setback can deter you from living in alignment with your divine purpose. It's easy to equate silence with absence, but God's silence is anything but that. Silence doesn't mean He's left you. It means He's drawing closer in ways you may not yet perceive. His presence is often most profound in the quiet, even when it feels like nothing is happening. Think about how we interact with those closest to us. Sometimes the most meaningful moments aren't filled with words, but with quiet understanding. God's relationship with us works similarly. His silence is not rejection, it's an opportunity to deepen intimacy and trust. In the silence, God often speaks through subtle means. He may be guiding you through your thoughts, a scripture, a conversation, or even a simple feeling of peace. Pay attention to these moments. Silence isn't emptiness, it's a different kind of communication, one that requires you to listen with your heart. Silence also challenges us to rely less on external validation and more on internal assurance. When God's voice seems distant, He is teaching you to trust His presence within you. This inward focus strengthens your faith, reminding you that He is always closer than you think. Another way to understand God's silence is through the analogy of a teacher during a test. The teacher doesn't leave the room, they remain present, observing as you apply what you've learned. God's silence during challenging times is often Him allowing you to grow, to trust, and to apply the wisdom He's already given you. It's important to recognize that God's presence is not always about dramatic signs or loud declarations. Often, it's in the stillness that His power is most profound. Think of Elijah, who found God not in the wind, earthquake, or fire, but in the gentle whisper. Silence is an invitation to experience God in a new, quieter way. When the silence feels unbearable, remind yourself God is not absent. He is closer than your breath, surrounding you with His presence, even when you can't feel it. Trust that in the quiet He is working, guiding and holding you, preparing you for the blessings to come. When God seems silent, it's easy to believe that nothing is happening. But silence is often the precursor to transformation. It's in the waiting that breakthroughs are prepared. Just like a caterpillar inside its cocoon, the process may be hidden, but immense change is unfolding beneath the surface. The silence is not the absence of action, it's the setup for something extraordinary. Waiting teaches us endurance. It's not about passively sitting and hoping for things to improve, it's about standing firm in your faith while trusting that the silence is temporary. Endurance builds resilience, and resilience prepares you for the magnitude of the breakthrough God is bringing. In the waiting, God refines us. He works on our hearts, shaping our character to handle the blessings we've been praying for. A premature breakthrough can overwhelm us, but God's timing ensures that we are ready to receive and sustain the abundance He has in store. Waiting is not punishment, it's preparation. Breakthroughs often come when we least expect them. Silence may feel like a delay, but it's God's way of ensuring everything aligns perfectly. Think of how an artist meticulously prepares a canvas before beginning a masterpiece. The waiting period is the groundwork, laying the foundation for your breakthrough to shine in its full brilliance. God uses the waiting to test our faith. Will we give up when answers don't come quickly, or will we persevere, trusting that His promises are true? Faith is not proven in moments of ease, it's revealed in times of silence and uncertainty. Your persistence in faith is what positions you for the breakthrough. Silence also shifts our focus. When we stop hearing immediate answers, we're forced to look deeper, to rely on God's presence rather than just His voice. This deepens our relationship with Him, allowing us to grow spiritually. Sometimes the greatest breakthroughs are not external but internal: a renewed faith, a deeper peace, or a stronger trust. The waiting is also an opportunity for gratitude. When you're in the silence, take a moment to reflect on how far you've already come. Recognize the breakthroughs God has already brought into your life. Gratitude in the waiting strengthens your hope, reminding you that if He's done it before, He'll do it again. Breakthroughs often require action during the waiting. It's easy to think waiting means doing nothing, but God calls us to act in faith, even when we don't see results. Take steps toward your goals, no matter how small. Each action declares your belief in the breakthrough you're expecting. Community is vital in the waiting. Surround yourself with people who encourage your faith and remind you of God's promises. Isolation can magnify doubts, but the support of others can reignite your hope. Share your struggles and victories, knowing that the waiting is a shared human experience. Patience during the waiting shapes your perspective. Instead of seeing silence as a void, view it as a space for growth and anticipation. Waiting shifts your mindset from why me to what is God teaching me. This change in perspective transforms the waiting from a burden to a gift. Breakthroughs come in God's time, not ours. Our limited perspective often focuses on immediate answers, but God sees the bigger picture. Trust that His timing is not just good, it's perfect. Waiting ensures that the breakthrough arrives exactly when it's most impactful, both for you and for the people around you. Remember that waiting is a sacred process. It's a time when you're being molded, strengthened, and prepared for the incredible blessings to come. The silence may feel endless, but the breakthrough is already on its way. In the waiting, you are not just passing time, you are stepping into your purpose. Trust the process, for the breakthrough is worth every moment of the wait. As we come to the end of this journey, let us remember that moments when God seems silent are not moments of abandonment, they are divine invitations to grow, reflect, and trust. Silence is never void, it's filled with purpose, a sacred space where transformation quietly unfolds. When we lean into the stillness, we discover that it's not the absence of God, but His deeper presence shaping our hearts and minds. Every trial you face in the silence is an opportunity to cultivate patience, deepen your faith, and strengthen your resilience. The waiting refines us, stripping away fear and uncertainty to reveal the courage and strength God has placed within us. Trust the process, knowing that every second of stillness is preparing you for the blessings ahead. In this life, your perspective is your power. What you choose to focus on shapes your reality. When silence fills your world, focus on the promises, not the doubts. Let gratitude guide you, reminding you of all the ways God has already worked in your life. By choosing faith over fear, you align yourself with hope, joy, and the certainty that God's plans for you are good. Understand that your journey is uniquely designed for you. The silence you're experiencing is part of a greater plan, a plan so intricately woven that you may not see its beauty now, but one day you'll look back and marvel at how perfectly it all came together. God's timing is never late, and His plans never fail. The breakthrough is coming, and when it arrives, it will be worth every tear, every prayer, and every moment of uncertainty. The waiting will make the blessing that much sweeter. Trust that God has already gone ahead of you, clearing paths, opening doors, and preparing a future beyond what you can imagine. Let this silence be the foundation for your faith. Use it to build a stronger relationship with God, one that isn't shaken by doubt or fear. Let it remind you that even when you can't hear Him, He is there working tirelessly for your good. Silence isn't a pause in the story, it's a critical chapter leading to your greatest victories. So, as you step forward from this moment, carry these truths with you. Embrace the silence, trust the waiting, and hold fast to the hope that God's promises are true. Your story is unfolding, and the best chapters are still ahead. Keep moving, keep believing, and remember, silence isn't the end, it's the beginning of something extraordinary. Remember that the lessons shared today are not just words to hear, they are truths to live by. The silence you're experiencing right now is not a barrier, but a bridge to something greater. This speech is meant to remind you that even in the stillness, God is working behind the scenes, preparing you for the breakthrough, growth, and transformation you're destined for. When you face moments of uncertainty and feel that God is distant, know that you are never alone. You are being refined, strengthened, and equipped to step into your divine purpose. Every challenge you face, every season of waiting is leading you closer to the person you were always meant to be. By embracing patience, trust, and gratitude during the quiet times, you will find yourself growing spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. This shift in perspective can unlock a new level of peace, confidence, and clarity in your life. The silence will no longer feel like a void, but a sacred space of divine preparation. Take these insights with you and let them be the fuel for your journey. Let the power of hope, faith, and trust in God's timing guide you every day. This speech is a reminder that when God seems silent, it's not the end, it's the beginning of something far more powerful than you could ever imagine. So as you move forward, remember, the silence is not empty. It is full of possibilities, full of hope, and full of the potential for the greatest breakthrough of your life. Keep walking in faith, because your best days are still ahead. And when you look back, you'll realize that the waiting, the silence, and the patience were all part of the beautiful masterpiece God was creating within you.